from it. Destiny arrives all the same. It has been a long time. Gyms that have been closed, they are now open for competition as the best in the world get set for the 2020 Rogue Invitational. Thank you for joining us, everybody. We are getting set for Event 1, presented by Ramwad, Sarah Sigmundsdottir, and her fellow competitors. They are in for something pretty unique here, as are you. Thanks for joining us. Sean Woodland with Chase Ingram as we get set for action here. And Chase, like we said in the pregame show, man, it seems like forever since we've been able to talk about competition, but now we're actually going to get to see people throw down.
You see me bouncing? You see me bouncing? I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
On the men's side, you mentioned it, Godzilla, he's not here. He's not going to destroy the city. So the rest of the monsters now, they got to fight it out on Monster Island. And for the first time in a while in a men's competition, we don't have a clear favorite here.
We don't have a clear favorite at all, and that is a product of two things: the caliber and depth of the field that we have, but as well as the programming. But one who's next in line is Noah Olson. Noah pushed Matt to the brink at the CrossFit Games last year. In fact, was leading all the way up into the last day and into the last two events. So I want to see Noah take the next step. He took a big one last year. He got himself on top of the podium, almost won the whole thing. How does he handle being in the driver's seat? I've said it before, it's a lot easier to chase someone down than it is to run away. I'm going to see how Noah handles being chased down by the rest of the field.
While the King of the Monsters is not present on the men's side, the undisputed champ is around on the women's side of the house. Tia Toomey is back as she looks to defend her Rogue Invitational win from last year, and she's also on track to possibly win her fourth straight CrossFit Games. You got to think that she is the favorite here.
I mean, you give her the credit where the credit is due. Tia has been dominating the women's field for the last 3 years, 3 consecutive CrossFit Games championships. But what I love about coming into this weekend is that we now have a full-fledged field that we haven't seen since the CrossFit Games in 2019. Cara Saunders back. Sigmundsdottir looks better than ever. Katrin back in action. Laura Horvath. This is a full field, and from top to bottom, not even those top fives. I mean, Brooke Wells, Sam Briggs. I want to see Tia really assert her dominance at another level coming into this weekend.
Tia Toomey had an outstanding Rogue Invitational last year. The women up first for Event 1, presented by Ramwad. It is a play on the classic Fran benchmark workout, 21:59 of thrusters. Burpee pull-ups, though, and then the thruster weight goes up every round. Josh Bridges is one of the men responsible for putting this together, and he says that last round of thrusters, you're definitely going to want to watch out for that.
I think with the 205, you might see a couple people break there, but you might see the strongest get all of those 9. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun workout. I'm excited to watch it. I think that it's going to be cool, and I think the athletes are going to enjoy it. You know, you don't really see heavy thrusters too often, so this will be a fun workout. I hope the athletes enjoy it.
I'm not sure that they're going to enjoy this, Chase, but it's going to be fun for the fans to see. But what do you think the keys to this event are?
Well, anytime you see Josh Bridges describe an event as fun, you know it's not going to be fun at all. Josh has a different mindset of what he considers to be fun. But when I look at this event, particularly for the athletes that are in the field here, is that you want to be able to push the pace relative to your skill set. And that's what I mean by know thyself. This is a strong person event as well as a conditioning bodyweight person event when you have those burpee pull-ups. So you want to make sure is that there's a game plan for everything. Be the person you are in this event. If you're a strong athlete, be the strong athlete. Don't try to do the burpee pull-ups faster than you should. If you're more the bodyweight work capacity athlete, don't try to go unbroken in reps that you don't belong doing that in the first place. You can make up a lot of time in both sides of this. So that I feel this is a very well-balanced event, and it's going to take a lot of guts towards the end when you get to that heavy bar and those last 9 burpee pull-ups.
The women, as we mentioned, are going to be up first. We will have 2 heats of, 1 heat of 8 and then 1 heat of 9 athletes after this. This is how the layout is going to look. Technically, lane 1 is in the upper left-hand part of your screen. That's Brooke Wells. And then lane 8, that is in the bottom right. That's Cheryl Nasso. We will have live scoring, so we'll be able to figure out who is in the lead, and every athlete's floor is laid out the same. The Chase, in this first heat, I mean, this is for first heat, this thing is loaded. Who are you keeping an eye on here?
I feel like it's a very unfair question to ask me who I'm keeping my eye on when you look at the athletes in this field, and that's the great thing about the Rogue Invitational is that everyone is great. But I'm looking at the 2 athletes that are the closest or have been the closest to taking over Tia Toomey. That's Sarah Sigmundsdottir and the way she's had a year so far up into this point. And then the only woman to nearly beat Tia in live competition, and she is back, Cara Saunders. Those are my 2 to look out for in this heat. As
we mentioned in the Rogue Iron game, all the athletes were sent equipment, and they were sent a diagram of how they needed to lay out the floor to keep this as fair as possible, and every athlete has a judge on site as we are set for Event 1 presented by Ramwad of the 2020 Rogue Invitational. And we are underway. 21 thrusters to begin for the women at 95 pounds, 90 total reps here. And Chase, we talked about this yesterday when we were just chatting about these events. Breaks, very key where you're going to plan those out.
And exactly the point is that because breaks are important, especially when you have a heavy-weighted thruster and it's going to get heavier. Not so much on the burpee pull-up side. That's more keep things steady. I've said this a lot all the time. It doesn't matter how many breaks you take. People are always worried about when they take them. There is nothing wrong about taking a break in the round of 21. That seems to be faux pas these days in the competitive landscape. But take a concerted break, because if you go unbroken too deep too soon, it might blow up your game plan in the last couple rounds.
But Carolyn Prevost, she was the first woman done. She's in the bottom part of your screen. First woman done with those 95 thrusters, and now they're on to the 21 burpee pull-ups. I should say the 21 thrusters at 95 pounds. 125 pounds is next.
And for this portion of the event, in all of the burpee pull-ups, the difference is that this is a pretty kind of governor plate or restrictor plate type movement. You can only go so fast on a burpee pull-up. If you try to go too fast, maybe you miss your step up on your crash pad. Maybe you miss your grab on your pull-up bar. There's really no reason to try to push the pace beyond what the normal pace of this is dictated for.
Everybody pretty much within a rep of each other, as Brooke Wells is your leader. She's through 31, now 32 of those 90 total repetitions. Fee Sagafi is the only woman who isn't within at least 3 reps. And she is on her burpee pull-ups as well. But Sagafi and Cheryl Nasso are towards the back of the pack here. But everyone's still very close as we are just about 2 minutes in to the opening event here, the first of 6 events at the 2020 Rogue Invitational.
Now, Brooke Wells is leading the field just by a couple of reps, and I'm not really surprised to see that early on in this. 95-pound thrusters for Brooke Wells, who is so strong, isn't a surprise. And she's worked on her work capacity. What is going to take place is that round of 15. It's always been the round of 15, no matter what, 21-15-9, but with that big jump in weight from 125 or from 95 to 125 is going to be a wake-up call for a lot of these athletes moving into the second part of this event.
Cara Saunders in the upper right-hand part of your screen. She is done with her first set of burpee pull-ups. Sarah Sigmundsdottir is done. Sam Briggs and Brooke Wells will be showing you this throughout the event. This is a visual representation of where the athletes are in relation to each other. You can see the total of reps of 90 there in the upper right-hand part of that box, and then the number of reps each athlete has completed. So that first round, 42 total reps. And just about everyone is done with that except for Fee Sagafi as she gets set to finish up. It's Sarah Sigmundsdottir now on the barbell, 15 thrusters at 125 pounds.
And what I saw Sigmundsdottir do early is that she actually changed her weights after she finished her first set of thrusters. So that means she got to give herself a little bit of rest before going to the burpee pull-up. So she got straight to the bar that was already loaded after that first round. Nobody else had done that except Sarah.
Sigmundsdottir now through 51 of the 90 total repetitions. It is Brooke Wells who sits in second. And Cara Saunders moving into third place right now. There's a look at Brooke Wells.
I mean, look at the, that's real. That's a real heavyweight. I don't want to do a 125-pound thruster, let alone after 95 and 21 burpee pull-ups.
So So Brooke Wells, who was one of your early leaders, has now fallen into third, fourth place as Sigmundsdottir leads. Sam Briggs is through 50 reps. And now Cara Saunders is done. So she and Sigmundsdottir, along with Brooke Wells, fighting for the lead in this first of two heats.
And Sarah Sigmundsdottir, she's third from the left, the upper part of your screen. Look at her barbell. She's already changed her weight after she did her set of 15 thrusters. So what that means for her is that when she gets done, she's going to go straight to the bar, which is why Cara kind of jumped her going into the second portion. Cara, on the right of just Sigmundsdottir, has yet to change the weight. So those little nuances between the athletes that might make the difference.
And we've mentioned it before, but it's worth repeating. No one on the screen knows where the other athlete is. No one has any idea if they're in the lead or if they're behind right now.
And honestly, when you think about that, that might be the best thing for Sarah Sigmundsdottir.
Agree 100% on that one. Sarah Sigmundsdottir is your leader. She's through 66 of the 90 repetitions as she is on her second set of burpee pull-ups. 15 reps she has to complete here, and then it's a final 9 thrusters and a final 9 burpee pull-ups, but the thruster weight moving to 145 pounds for that final round. These are your top 4 as Carolyn Prevost is close to the lead pace. She's staying tight with that lead pack. Cara Saunders, Brooke Wells, and Sarah Sigmundsdottir, though they were out front early, as Sarah Sigmundsdottir is now back to her barbell. She has 18 reps remaining, 9 thrusters and 9 burpee pull-ups.
So what Sarah did is she actually changed one half of her bar to give herself a little bit of break. I think that's a genius move in terms of saving time, giving herself a little bit of rest and going into it. So she should be ahead of Cara. Now the thing with Cara is that Cara, I think, is a bit better at a heavier thruster than Sarah is, just because of, kind of strength per pound when it comes to her, Cara being a smaller athlete.
Sigmundsdottir, bottom left, she's on the barbell. First of 9 reps is done, and that's 2. Meanwhile, Brooke Wells and Cara Saunders continuing to load their barbell, and Carolyn Prevost is still on her set of 15 burpee pull-ups. So Sarah Sigmundsdottir in the lead through 75 of those 90 reps, and she's starting to put some distance between herself, Sam Briggs, and Brooke Wells, who are also trying to chase her down.
So Sarah did a set of 3 and then 2 singles. And you look at Cara at the upper left part of your screen. She hadn't put the bar down yet. She might pass her just by resting a little bit more before getting to the thrusters.
Now, Cara Saunders is now tied with Sigmundsdottir as they are both through 78 of those 90 total repetitions. Saunders in the upper right-hand part of your screen taking a break. So she and Sigmundsdottir are tied. And Brooke Wells on the barbell in the upper left-hand part of your screen, trying to keep pace with Saunders and Sigmundsdottir. Saunders now in the lead. She has 9 reps remaining. She's back to the burpee pull-up. She's the only one on this final set as Sarah Sigmundsdottir has fallen off the lead pace.
I think what some athletes might not remember is that we had a burpee pull-up event last year at the Rogue Invitational, but it was with heavy deadlifts. That jump to the pull-up bar is a lot different after heavy thrusters than it is with heavy deadlifts.
Now, Sigmundsdottir is done, and she's going to try to chase down Cara Saunders, and she's got a pretty good pace here, but Saunders, with about a 4-rep lead on her, now down to 3. Saunders through 86 of the 90 repetitions, now 87. So Cara Saunders trying to hold off Sarah Sigmundsdottir here, and she has no idea Sigmundsdottir is breathing down her neck.
And this is where Sarah's size comes into play because the bar height is exactly the same. So it's a bit harder for Cara to get up there than Sarah.
So Cara Saunders is done, and she will take the heat unofficially at 7 minutes 40 seconds. Sarah Sigmundsdottir looking to come in second place, and she is done. So Sigmundsdottir locking up second place in the heat. And now the battle is for third, and that's between Brooke Wells, Sam Briggs, Christy Aramo O'Connell, and Carolyn Prevost.
Wow. I just can't imagine the headspace you're in because they don't know where they're at, so they just got to push as hard as they can. It's incredible.
And Brooke Wells had trouble locking out that last rep, but she is done now, and she is on to her burpee pull-up. So Brooke Wells looking to finish third in this heat, but Christy Aramo O'Connell in the bottom left, she is through 87 of the 90 total repetitions, and she's looking to come into third place here. So a strong, steady performance for Christy Aramo O'Connell as she has 1 rep remaining. And she's going to get in, but it was Carolyn Prevost next to her who actually sneaks in third place at 8:29 unofficially. So 8:42 unofficially for Christy Aramo O'Connell as Brooke Wells has fallen way back. Once leading this heat, now looking at a 5th place finish, and she's deadlocked with Samantha Briggs.
Wow, look how fast Sam's going in the top right, just right of Brooke Wells.
And Briggs is done. So Briggs will take 5th place unofficially, and Brooke Wells will finish in 6th. Cheryl Nasso and Fee Sagafi, bottom right of your screen, are the only 2 athletes left competing, and Sagafi, may have finished. She's signing her scorecard. We don't have an unofficial score for her, so we'll have to get that sorted out. But Cheryl Nasso continues to work. Fee Sagafi may have finished.
I think she might have tapped out. I'm not 100% sure.
She has her barbell loaded with the final weight. And we are done. It's Cara Saunders who sets the early pace at 7 minutes 40.70 seconds unofficially. But impressive work from Sarah Sigmundsdottir, who finished in 2nd place. But Cara Saunders, first time we've seen her in a couple years in competition. Pretty impressive opening for her. These are all unofficial as Cara Saunders at 7:40. Sarah Sigmundsdottir 13 seconds behind her. And then Carolyn Prevost sneaks in 3rd place ahead of Christy Aramo O'Connell, who has a time of unofficially of 8 minutes 42.4 seconds. But let's get back to Cara Saunders for a second, Chase. Doesn't look like she's lost a step.
No, and she has done 1 live competition this year, but in terms of with this field, no. And just when you think about thrusters and specifically heavy thrusters, Cara Saunders should have no issue whatsoever. The only challenge really for her, it seemed, was actually the height of the bar. And what people need to understand is that it's all regulated. The height's all the same for all the athletes. No one gets lower, no one gets closer to the rig. But the way she handled those last set of thrusters, which I believe she did a set of 6 and a set of 3, where you saw a lot of athletes start getting down to singles. So that last bar was the game changer when it came between Sarah Sigmundsdottir and Cara Saunders.
Cara Saunders hoping that her time will stand. Again, her time is unofficial of 7 minutes and 40 seconds. But a very outstanding effort for her as we get set for heat number 2. And some of the top athletes in the field will be taking the floor. But Chase, we talked about, obviously we have expectations going into an event. Mm-hmm. How did your expectations change, if at all, now that you've seen one heat?
That was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I think Josh's assertion was right. Maybe not in terms of the last bar, but I think when I looked at it early on and I said, it's like, choose your breaks wisely and make sure you strategize them in the right way. We saw a lot of athletes come out hot and unbroken on the first set of 21. But then when you break those last bars up, maybe into 3s and singles, that's what I mean by it doesn't matter when you break. It matters how many times you do. So an unbroken set of 21 and 6 breaks in the round of 9, what was the point of the unbroken set of 21? Maybe now it's that if I did 1 or 2 breaks in 21, an extra break in 15, save yourself some big breaks, because the breaks in the round of 9 take way longer than you would say that the 95 and 125 because it's so heavy. So do yourself a favor, take a couple extra breaks early, even though it doesn't seem like the right thing to do, and save yourself those reps and that time and energy for the last round.
After watching that one as well, let's keep in mind now, the athletes in the second heat may have been able to watch the first heat. So what did they learn? Just little tricks maybe that they're going to pick up on to maybe go a little faster here if they were paying attention.
I think seeing the importance of the bars going through, right? You have your 21-15-9. It's a trap rep scheme in the middle, but with these added weights in between for the thrusters, that changes the game. So at least understanding where the difficulty of the event is really going to be. That round of 15 proved to be a normal round of 15 in 21-15-9. But now they get a better idea of really how hard those were, because I think a lot of times you saw athletes in the set of 15, that bar looked a lot heavier than I thought it was going to look. Jamie Green at a CrossFit Yaz. You know, it's so cool to see these athletes in their own spaces going head-to-head, also keeping in mind that they don't know where they're going to be relative to the rest of the field.
Just saw our top 4 athletes from the games last year. Tia Toomey, Kristen Holta, Jamie Simmons. Saw Catherine Davis right now. Haley Adams, one of the up-and-coming stars here in the women's division, as is that woman, Amanda Barnhart. She's another person who American fans think may have a chance of getting on the podium and representing the United States for the first time since 2014 in the top 3 at the CrossFit Games. So 9 athletes here in this second and final heat. Lane 1, Tia Toomey. She'll be in the upper left-hand part of your screen. Lane 9, Laura Horvath, will be in the bottom right. Time to beat unofficially belongs to Cara Saunders at 7:40.70 seconds. Chase, who do you think might be able to chase that down here?
2 athletes specifically. Tia Claire Toomey, obvious choice, but I want to see Amanda Barnhart take it to this field this weekend.
Heat 2 of event number 1, presented by Ramwad, is underway. 95-pound thrusters. You got to do it 21 times, and then it's 21 burpee pull-ups. 90 total repetitions here, and it is Cara Saunders once again. Unofficially, the time to beat at 7 minutes, 40.07 seconds, and a good pace by Kristen Holta early as she takes a break.
And that's what I'm looking at, is that how are they going to approach the first set of 21? We make so much about the first set of 15, but how are they going to navigate the set of 21? Look, if you feel good and you're great at it, be great at it. But if you're not, don't pretend you're someone you're not. So you got Tia Toomey, Amanda Barnhart. Those are my 2 athletes to look for who may take not only this heat, but Cara Saunders' time as well.
Tia Toomey is already on to her first round of burpee pull-ups. She's the only athlete there, but now Jamie Simmons, Catherine Davis-Daughter, Haley Adams, and Amanda Barnhart have all joined her. So now Barnhart taking some time to load her barbell. So she's surrendering some ground here to Toomey on the burpee pull-ups. But as we saw Sarah Simmons-Daughter do, she's not going to have to waste any time when she gets back to the barbell. So Barnhart now falling off that lead pace. She's only through 21 reps.
And it's deceptive to kind of see where she is, because she's taking the time now to change her bar. It's a good idea if you need that break going into the burpee pull-ups. It also depends if you want that break after the burpee pull-ups. And that's where some athletes kind of wait to change their bar afterwards. What Sarah did is she would change one half, do her burpee pull-ups, and then the second half before her next set of thrusters.
Tia Toomey, she's in the upper left-hand part of your screen. She's your leader. She's through 31 of those 90 total repetitions. Kristen Holta, Jamie Simmons, Catherine Davis-Daughter, and Haley Adams, all within a couple of reps. But it is Tia Toomey, the defending Rogue Invitational champion, picking up right where she left off, as she is your early leader, trying to chase down Cara Saunders' top time of 7 minutes, 40 seconds. Again, that is unofficial.
I said early on in my keys, the event was push the pace, and it's push the pace early, specifically on the round of 21 of the burpee pull-ups. These movements take a long time to do, and you have your your biggest block here early. So this is your opportunity to get ahead of the rest of the field in the set of 21 that you won't necessarily have with less reps towards the end.
These are your top 5 right now. All these women within just a couple of reps of one another, as Tia Toomey leads the way through 42 of those 90 total repetitions, and she is now loading her barbell. Haley Adams is now through her burpee pull-ups, as is Jamie Simmons. Catherine Davis-Daughter and Laura Horvath to finish as well, and they are loading their barbells. Now keep in mind, Amanda Barnhart's still working, but she does not have to switch the weights on her bar. And this is a look on the left of where the athletes are in relation to one another. Since we don't have everybody on the floor, we use this to represent the race.
And she only has a handful of burpees left to do. You know, you can see everyone across the board, they're already at 42, and Amanda Barnhart's going to be able to come off the bar and go right to her set of thrusters.
And there is Amanda Barnhart getting to work, but she's got to track down Tia Toomey, as Tia Toomey is now through 49. Barnhart through 45 and counting. So Amanda Barnhart starting to make up that ground she lost when she decided to load her barbell instead of go right to the burpee pull-ups.
And it's always dependent on what is best for the athlete. Do you need your break after the set of thrusters before you get to the bar, or do you need it after the pull-up bar before you get to your set of thrusters? There's really no wrong way to do this, because changing the bar is changing the bar. How you do it and when you do it is the big key for these athletes.
Laura Horvath has fallen back here. Her lane indicator's at the bottom of your screen on the left box. She's taking a break. She's through 52 repetitions, so still within striking distance of Tia Toomey, but Toomey is on to her second set of burpee pull-ups and using that reverse grip on the pull-up bar.
And I was about to say, is like, she's the only athlete I've seen so far to use that reverse grip, and that just means the palms are facing forward. And what that does is it actually changes the muscle groups you're using for the pull. When you do that palms facing, it's a lot more biceps and really lats. When you reach your hands in front, that actually gets more of the front part of the shoulder. Even if you just turned your hand, you could feel that muscle group changing. Why is that important? Well, because that's the muscle you use the most on a heavy thruster, is the front part of that shoulder. So I like the reverse grip, changing the muscle groups being used in between the two movements.
It's Toomey in the lead. Jamie Simmons, Laura Horvath, and Haley Adams and Katrin Davidsdottir are all trying to chase her down, but Tia Toomey continues to move at a pretty impressive clip here, now through 70 of the 90 total repetitions. Simmons, the closest athlete to her. She's 2 reps back. Now Toomey is done, and she has 18 reps remaining as she loads the barbell to 145 pounds, and she doesn't even look winded.
She is going so unbelievably fast right now. And nothing seems out of control. Her burpee pull-ups were very systematic. Foot down, hands down, hop up, get to the pull-up bar. Even the way she changes the weight. She's not fumbling with the clips. The weights aren't getting stuck on the barbell. She's very smooth and calm, allowing herself to take a little bit of break before we get into her first set on the round of 9.
These are 4 of your top 5 as Laura Horvath and Katrin Davidsdottir are fighting for 3rd place right now. Haley Adams sits in 3rd, and Jamie Simmons right now is in 2nd. Simmons, the bottom right-hand part of your screen. So it looks like Tia Toomey is back to work now on the final barbell, 145 pounds. And she is looking to run away with this event. Again, the time to beat, 7 minutes, 40 seconds unofficially by Cara Saunders, and Tia Toomey has a chance to chase that down if she can pick up the pace here.
I think she ripped off a set of 5 or 6 on her first set. And keep your eye on Barnhart on the left side on the bottom half of the screen. So she's moved herself back into that 2nd place position.
Now Toomey to the burpee pull-ups, 9 reps remaining. And it's looking like she is going to win this event if she keeps this pace.
Again, this is the same pace she's had from 21 through 15 and now at the last set of 9.
Toomey now with 4 reps remaining. Jamie Simmons and Amanda Barnhart in 2nd place. It's going to come down to the burpees for them, but Tia Claire Toomey, your defending Rogue Invitational champion, is going to start off her 2020 event with an event win. 1 rep to go for Toomey, and that'll do it. 100 points to start the competition for your 3-time CrossFit Games champion.
Now you got that race between Barnhart in the bottom left and Simmons in the middle top part of the lanes.
Simmons looks like she's going to get the best of that one. So Jamie Simmons, formerly Jamie Green, will finish in 2nd place. 7 minutes 31 unofficially, so that'll be good for 2nd in the event if that time holds. Amanda Barnhart, she is now done. Her time unofficially 7:51, and that would give her 4th place unofficially in the event as Cara Saunders now moves into 3rd. There's a 5-point difference between every placement all the way down the leaderboard. So 100 points for the winner, 95 for 2nd, 90 for 3rd, and then 85 for 4th, and so on as we work our way down the standings as Kristen Holta is fighting with Danielle Brandon for 5th place in this heat. Danielle Brandon now with a couple reps to go. Kristen Holta with 2 to go.
Man, she's just diving down to the floor, Holta is.
Danielle Brandon unofficially is going to win that race by a couple of seconds. So she'll take 5th place in the heat, 8th in the event. Holta 6th place in the heat, 10th in the event. Now Haley Adams and Catherine Davidsdottir have both finished. Haley Adams unofficially 11th in the event. Davidsdottir right behind her by about 7 seconds. She will take 12th, and that leaves Turi Helgadottir as the only woman left on the competition floor.
And you're talking that, but 2-second difference between Brandon and Holta, and even one athlete snuck in between them in the first heat. That's how close this is.
The Turi Helgadottir looking to finish up here. And she is done. So every woman in the second and final heat finishes the event. Helgadottir unofficially 9 minutes, 31 seconds flat. But it's Tia Toomey who smashes the time to beat by 26 seconds.
I mean, and it looked effortless. How smooth her round of 21 was. She wasn't out of control. She just had this nice, steady pace, breathing at the top. The one thing she was doing different than everyone is that reverse grip. Watch her hands when she reaches up to the pull-up bar with those palms facing in. She's the only athlete that I saw to even do that. And she got to that final barbell. She did a set of 5 and then finished with a set of 4. And just the power and the strength that she has is just unlike anything I've really seen in every single event. It's not like she's good at thrusters only. She's great at all of these things. And that final 9 burpee pull-ups, how you can do that to keep that pace by yourself in your own lane, that to me is just as impressive as her time.
So Tia Toomey is unofficially your event winner with a time of 7:14. Again, these are all unofficial until we get everything confirmed. Jamie Simmons, these are the heat results, will take 2nd. Amanda Barnhart, she will finish 3rd, and right now that would be good enough for 4th place in the event, as Cara Saunders would slide into 3rd place because she had the time to beat of 7:40 going into that. Laurel Horvath, impressive performance for her. She takes 4th, and Danielle Brandon edging out Kristen Holta for 5th place overall. So the women are now done with events number 1, and we hand things off to the men. And same thing here. If the men were paying attention, they got to see kind of how this played out a little bit. What, if any, adjustments do you think they might be making to their game plans right now?
I mean, I hate to say the same thing over and over and over, but with an event like this, it's so specific to the skill set of the athlete, is that you got to make sure that you run your own race. And I don't mean that because you're in your own gym and you can't see other people do that. Is that there is a perfect pace, strategy, and game plan for you as an athlete. You need to figure out what that is. What helps is being to see how hard the 21 really is at that weight, or what the weight changes look like going to 15, and how that last 9 thrusters really threw people for a loop. How important are the burpee pull-ups if you're going fast or going slow? All of those things matter when you look at attacking this event.
Event 1 is presented by Ramwad, and it is a play on the classic benchmark Fran 21-15-9 of thrusters that get heavier as we move our way through the event, and then burpee pull-ups instead of regular pull-ups. There is a 10-minute time cap. Let's take a look at the lane assignments, box assignments, if you will, for the men, as we're going to have 2 heats of 9 athletes. And we're going to get to see some guys that we haven't seen compete here in a little bit. Lucas Hoberg being one of them. We heard from Josh Bridges before the women took on this event, and he said it was, again, that last set of heavy thrusters that could be the separator in event number 1.
Absolutely. I mean, just because of the weight. 205 pounds for 9 thrusters in it by itself for these athletes, nothing to even, raise your nose at. But when you do 90, up into that point, we'll say 36 burpee pull-ups going in, and the thrusters prior to that, what I'm actually looking at is that weight jump from the round of 21 to the round of 15, because it goes from 135 to 185. That's a 50-pound jump in that rep scheme. I think that, it's obviously we always say it's the round of 15, but that is a big jump from one to the next.
Let's take a look at your keys to the event, Chase, and now that you've had some time to chew on this thing, what'd you learn about your keys?
My keys were spot on, obviously. I think one of those is, push the pace, or, it's push and pace. Push where you need to push, pace where you need to pace. Whether that's the thrusters, because you're not good at those, then you're going to need to push the burpee pull-ups. If you're not great at burpee pull-ups, then pace those out and push thrusters. That's where that comes into play. And all of that centers around is understanding who you are as an athlete. If you are the strong athlete, then be the strong athlete. Now, that doesn't mean go unbroken early when you don't have to. What's better than being great at thrusters than just breaking them up one time in the set of 21 and making them easy to the point of inconsequential, and then set yourself up for the success for the rest of the event?
Once again, here's how things will lay out on your screen. Lane 1, box number 1, upper left-hand part. That's Lucas Hogberg. And then lane number 9, Alexander Carone in the bottom right. We do have a former champion in this heat. That is Ben Smith. He will be right next to Lucas Hogberg. And same story with the women. All the men's floors have been laid out the exact same way in order to keep things as fair as possible. And all of them have a judge on site to count their reps. So 10 seconds before we begin heat number 1. So Lucas Hogberg creeping down to grab his barbell, and we are underway. 21 thrusters at 135 to start, and then 21 burpee pull-ups. First of 2 heats for the men.
The 2 athletes I'm looking at on paper right off the bat is Lucas Hogberg and Ben Smith. They're on the top row, left and right of each other. Hogberg just broke early. I wouldn't be surprised to see more athletes on the men's side and maybe take some breaks in this first set of 21 than we did on the women's side.
Blair Chapman in the upper right-hand part of your screen. He's your early leader. He's done with all 21. Ben Smith is done with 21, as is Nicholas Joyal, Alexander Carone, and now Sean Sweeney getting set to finish up. Lucas Hogberg with a handful of reps to go before he's done.
Now, Ben Smith did 21 unbroken thrusters and was 2 burpee pull-ups ahead of Hogberg when Hogberg finished his. And Hogberg broke twice in that set of 21. Something to look at when we go forward through the rest of this event.
Now, Hogberg looks like he loaded his barbell before he got to the burpee pull-ups. Blair Chapman, though, still your leader through 26 of the 90 total repetitions, 10-minute time cap. Ben Smith keeping pace. Joel Mertens and now Yonakoski. As you can kind of see where the athletes are in relation to each other. The box on your left, Blair Chapman in green, he is your leader through 29 of the 90 repetitions now and counting before he moves back to the barbell. And the 185-pound thrusters. Now, that's a huge jump to go from 135 to 185. I mean, that escalates quickly.
That's a big jump if I'm doing deadlifts, Sean, not just thrusters. Ben Smith, just, again, one of the guys I was looking at coming in. Ben has beautiful movement. I think that is one of the strengths of Ben Smith. Not just talking about his actual strength, his work capacity, and his skill set in gymnastics, but his quality of movement, I think, is a huge weapon for him, because when you start moving better under intensity, it actually is not as hard to do as if you had sloppy movement.
Now, Ben Smith is still close to the lead pace. Colt Mertens, he is your leader. He's now on screen. One of the shorter athletes, has not yet loaded his barbell. He's a guy who's made 1 games appearance in the past. That was on a team. That was in 2018. And he was here last year as well.
The one disadvantage he has is that, all the equipment's the same, the boxes are the same, the height of the pull-up bar is the same. The athletes have a specific range that pull-up bar needs to be, and Colton isn't the most tall person in the event, and so the burpee pull-ups does have an advantage when you are taller than, I would say, the thrusters. So it's kind of an opposite of worlds there.
Yonakoski, we have another lead change. He is through 42 of those 90 reps. He was the first man done with his first set of burpee pull-ups. Alexander Carone, we're having an issue with his feed, but we still have scoring. He is still working, so we will keep you updated on where he is. Again, we are bringing in feeds from 40 different locations here, so something like that is bound to happen. And again, we have plenty of backup systems in place to know exactly what Alexander is doing. So we're going to keep you posted on his progress. And right now, he is actually in the lead. Alexander Carone is through 48 of the 90 repetitions as he has overtaken Yonakoski, who briefly had the lead as he was the first man done with the initial set of burpee pull-ups. And now Lucas Hogberg again did not have to load his bar after his first set of pull-ups. I'm sorry, after his first set of burpee pull-ups, is in the lead by a rep over Ben Smith.
And his thrusters look so good in the round of 15 because of the breaks he took in the round of 21. He did 3 sets in the round of 21, 3 sets in the round of 15, quick bar change, and he's already going back to the pull-up bar.
Well, Alexander Caron is back. He is currently tied with Hoegberg for second place. Now Hoegberg has separated himself as Caron is resting. Colt Mertens is back in the lead. And Mertens is on his second set of burpee pull-ups.
And just look how high he has to jump to get to that pull-up bar, but that's where his success is on his thrusters. I mean, he's a short, powerful athlete. So a movement like a thruster really plays to his strengths as an athlete and to his, to his size as an athlete. When you look at someone like Lucas Hoegberg, is his complete opposite of that, is just being a tall, stronger athlete. You know, his at the top left corner of your screen, he doesn't have to jump nearly high at all to get up to the pull-up bar.
And Hoegberg in the upper left-hand part of your screen looks like he has already loaded his barbell to that final 205-pound weight. Mertens has not. Mertens is in the lead. Koski now moving past Hoegberg for second. So a lot of changing going on in this first of 2 heats in the opening event for the men here of the 2020 Rogue Invitational. 6 total events this weekend before we crown our Rogue Invitational champion.
That's one part of the event I actually love, just as a fan of strategy when it comes to events like this. They weren't dictated to change their weights at any point in time as long as they had it done for the next set. So they could do it after they finished their set of thrusters. In the middle of their burpee pull-ups, they could do that as well. So I like that the transitional change of the weights has now become a key part of this event.
Colt Mertens continues to lead the way here through 69 of those 90 total repetitions. Hoegberg sits in second, followed by Koski and Alexander Caron, as the 3 of them are basically even as they fight for second place in heat number 1.
So if you look at Lucas Hoegberg in the top left, Mertens is just 2 boxes over. The benefit for Hoegberg, and not just height, is the amount of pull he's actually having to do for his burpee pull-ups. Mertens catches fully extended and is doing a full pull-up up to the bar, where Hoegberg is just doing kind of a jumping chin over bar pull-up. That has a major factor when you're talking about the arm fatigue going into these heavy thrusters.
Lucas Hoegberg only had one side of his bar loaded, so he got a little bit of extra rest as he loads the other side, puts his belt on, and he'll get to work on his thrusters. Colt Mertens is the first man on the 205-pound barbell. And that is a great pace for Colt Mertens. If he keeps this up, I don't think anyone's going to catch him. Now he breaks. Lucas Hoegberg, he's on his final set of thrusters at 205, and he takes an early break, and Alexander Caron gets to work on the barbell for the final time. Mertens with just 2 reps remaining. Hoegberg trying to catch Alexander Caron for second. Mertens is done, and he'll get right to work on his final 9 burpee pull-ups, looking to set the early pace in this opening heat. Hoegberg taking another break, and Alexander Caron not moving either. And now Koski getting some work done on his barbell for the final 9 reps. Hoegberg breaking often here. He is 7 reps back of that man, Colt Mertens.
7.
Who has 2 reps to go. So Colt Mertens blisters through those final 9, and unofficially a time of 7 minutes, 17 seconds to set the early pace here.
And it's the way he handled those thrusters from start to finish. I mean, that was definitely where he made up the ground on the rest of the field.
Lucas Hoegberg and Alexander Caron, they're on opposite corners, bottom right and upper left. They're fighting for second. Now Ben Smith next to Hoegberg, he's on to his final set of 9.
And this is the hardest part about being in separate locations and not knowing where people are, is that if they knew they were close, they would probably try to push the pace just a little bit faster if they could.
Alexander Caron is going to win the fight with Lucas Hoegberg for second place. Caron unofficially a time of 7:53.6 seconds. Lucas Hoegberg has finished as well. He takes third in the heat, unofficially 8:06.9, and that leaves Ben Smith as your leader right now, as he has just 2 reps remaining. And now 1 final rep for Ben Smith and he is done. So Smith locking up 4th place in the heat, and Jonakoski getting set to take 5th. Leaves Sean Sweeney, Blair Chapman, Nicholas Joyal, and Brendan Willis still working here. Approaching the 9-minute mark, and then we'll have just 1 minute to go before we hit that 10-minute time cap. And Brendan Willis is the only man who is not on his final set of burpee pull-ups, as now Sean Sweeney and Blair Chapman have both finished. This is Nicholas Joyal with just a couple of reps remaining. And he will come in, and that means that Brendan Willis needs to try to get in underneath the time cap here, but he is quickly running out of time as he has yet to finish his final set of 9 thrusters.
And you can clearly see what the issue is, and it's just the weight of the thruster. I think he's been doing single since he got to the set of 9.
Basically going with a cluster. And he is not going to get in inside the 10-minute time cap. But 8 of the 9 men in this opening heat will, and none do it faster than Colt Mertens. 7 minutes, 17.7 seconds unofficially for him. A great start for Colt Mertens.
When you look at game plan of what the best way to approach this event is going to be, I think once we've seen the way Mertens attack this, is that, you know, we're talking a lot about how the difficulty of maybe the height of the jump is relative to the taller athletes in the field. So what did we just emphasize? Your ability and strength on the thrusters. When you look at this, now that we've seen 3 heats go, 2 of the women and 1 of the men, it's coming down to the thrusters, because the burpee pull-ups aren't necessarily a movement that's hard to do. It's different than just a regular pull-up or chest to bars or even bar muscle-ups. That burpee slows the movement down and actually makes it easier with the volume. So the race is not won on the burpee pull-ups. Just keep your pace there. It is all coming down to the way they handle the thrusters.
Colt Mertens hoping that his time will stick. He is your unofficial heat winner with a time of 7 minutes, 17.70 seconds. Alexander Caron will take 2nd place as he holds off Lucas Hochberg. Hochberg taking 3rd, and it's the 2015 fittest man on earth, Ben Smith, who will take 4th. 7:17.70 seconds unofficially, Chase, the time to beat. What are going to be the keys for athletes who want to try and chase that down?
I think a lot of this is, ability across the board, what we've seen, and we said a lot for these athletes. It's pretty even across the board in terms of who is good at what. What I'm looking at is when it comes down to a race like this where you can't really tell who may win, it's going to come down to saving seconds. And that could be transitions of your bar, when to change your plates, how you're going to fumble with the clips. Also saving seconds on the movements, and I mean that specifically to the burpee pull-ups. The way you land off the pull-up bar. We saw Ben Smith doing something unique that I've never seen, where he would actually fall to the full lockout position and his feet would swing back and you'd drop and not have to move his feet. Those little things make big differences towards the ends when you're talking about 45 burpee pull-ups and 3 massive transitions with the barbell. So saving seconds could be the key to separating yourself on the leaderboard if everybody has the same ability.
Noah Olson getting set for heat number 2, and we're finally going to get to see the first sort of salvo between him and Pat Vellner here, as the two of them are basically the favorites after Matt Fraser bowed out. Olson with a pretty unique setup, one of the few athletes who's going to be doing these events outside. Probably getting some strange looks from his neighbors right now. And now Chandler Smith, who dominated the race for the qualifying spot at this event last year. And it was his performance at the Rogue Invitational that got him to the CrossFit Games in 2019.
And what was the event that he did so well in last year at the Invitational? It was that deadlift burpee pull-up event. Now, when you talk about deadlifts and Chandler Smith, those things go hand in hand.
And Cole Sager, who has done well at events with thrusters. You think back to some of the clutch performances that he had during the regional competitions where he needed big performances to get himself into the games. But again, that was in front of a crowd. That was where you could see his fellow competitors.
But where Cole trains all the time is in this setting, in his garage by himself. So if anyone's going to benefit from this format, I think Cole Sager is definitely top of the line.
Yeah, and one of the bigger athletes in the field at 202 pounds. So the barbell should not be a problem
1 minute
for Cole Sager. So just about a minute to go before we start heat number 2 as everyone looks to chase down Colt Mertens, who set the early time to beat unofficially at 7 minutes, 1 second. And Pat Vellner up in Nanaimo, British Columbia.
What I'm hoping that some of these athletes did, and they should be doing, is seeing how these events unfolded in previous heats, because that helps tremendously to know more about what this event's going to be like.
You have Noah Olson in the upper left there. He's down in Miami. Pat Vellner's up in British Columbia. You have Adrian Moonweiler, who's overseas. And we were bringing in, again, 40 feeds from different time zones around the world in this event. So we are underway. Heat number 2, the second and final heat of event number 1, presented by Ramwad. 21-15-9 thrusters and burpee pull-ups, with the thruster weight getting heavier every round. And Adrian Moonweiler right now is your early leader. And Moonweiler is a guy who didn't even do the Worldwide Open, because I talked to him in Ireland. So I just prefer to compete in person. Well, he doesn't get to do that here.
Yeah.
Exactly. But something like that. But Moonweiler setting the early pace here through 21 as he goes unbroken on the 135-pound barbell, and now to the set of burpee pull-ups.
Looks like Noah Olson's taking the old torch in the hair approach. I don't think he heard the starting gun.
And Noah Olson looks like he has yet to start.
And one thing to kind of explain to the people that are watching is, like, all of these videos will be reviewed and judged after the event to determine who actually did have the winning score.
So they'll get things squared away with Noah Olson. But right now, Adrian Moonweiler is your leader.
It's a steady pace. As we said earlier, it's not going to be about the burpee pull-ups unless you're bad at them. Just managing them and not wasting time is going to be important at this position.
10 reps to go for Moonweiler before he will begin his second set of thrusters as the weight jumps aggressively to 185 pounds. Chandler Smith is just a rep behind Moonweiler, as are Colt Sager and Bjorven Gudmundsson. So a good battle for second place going on behind Adrian Moonweiler. And Will Morat starting to creep into that as well.
And you look at something like a thruster relative to any other movement that they could pair this with. When you're talking about heavy weights, positioning and technique are vital. When you're talking about heavy thrusters, being in that elbow position, having the bar rest, being upright in the deep part of your squat. So what some of these athletes are going to get is they're going to get exposed if they don't have the best quality movement.
21, change weights.
Moonweiler is done. Meanwhile, Noah Olson has gotten to work. So his time is going to be kept separately. And again, as Chase mentioned, there's a judge on site. You can see her. The videos are reviewed, so we will get a time for Noah Olson. But he is working on basically a different clock than the other men in this heat. But we'll keep an eye on how he's doing, and he is on his first set of burpee pull-ups. As Cole Sager is trying to chase down Adrian Moonweiler. Sager, bottom part of your screen, loading his barbell. And Bjorven Gudmundsson, and now Pat Vellner has moved himself into the lead. So some big-name athletes here fighting for the top spot, as Pat Vellner is through 51 of the 90 reps. Gudmundsson, Moonweiler, Sager, and now Jacob Hebner has entered the picture. He's a couple reps back of Moonweiler for third place.
And Sager looks so good in that positioning. He's very upright, nice high elbow position. What that does, it takes the pressure off other muscle groups that don't need to be taxed. When you're nice and vertical, you just got nice quads, glutes to put into that, not blowing up the low back or the back of the shoulders.
Patrick Vellner is done. Bottom right of your screen, and he is going to take a break and use that time to start to load his barbell. Vellner is your leader through 57 of the 90 total repetitions. Remember, Noah Olson did start late. He is not on the same clock as the other athletes, but Olson moving well here through his first set of 21 burpee pull-ups, and that is his final rep, and he'll get back to the barbell, load it to 185, and then perform 15 thrusters.
Now, what I've seen from Olson up into this point is he's moving very fast on that first set of 21 thrusters at 135, and this is actually a pretty good transition for him, you know. Slip the clip off, put the bar on. The hard thing is with a setup like this for the athletes is that a lot of times in live competition, they'll dictate their breaks based off what the rest of the field is doing around them. When you don't see your competitors, those breaks might get extended by just a little bit. And when I said you got to be saving seconds coming into this event, what's another 3 to 5 seconds when you don't know if anybody else is back to the bar yet? That adds up.
Pat Vellner, bottom right of your screen. He is back in the lead through 67 of the 90 repetitions. Gudmundsson, Sager, Chandler Smith, and Adrian Moonweiler are all still very close to Pat Vellner. Vellner continuing to work through 70 of the 90 total repetitions. A couple more before he goes back to the barbell for the final time at 205 pounds for 9 thrusters.
Once from Moonweiler, top right part of the screen is that his burpee pull-ups are actually getting a little bit slower than I've seen from a few athletes that are trying to hang with him.
Moonweiler came out of the gates pretty hot. He is now back in second place. Noah Olson, remember he started later than the other athletes, so he is being timed separately as we take a look at the event tracker on the left part of your screen as Pat Vellner is your leader, but he does not have much of a cushion as Moonweiler, Gudmundsson, Sager, and Chandler Smith are all trying to chase him down.
So Gudmundsson in the top left in the second lane. He gets to his bar. And like I said, the round of 9 can change everything because it is so heavy. Your breaks are forced to be longer, maybe more than you had planned on. So what Vellner's lead had, I think he's starting to lose it now. He's taking bigger breaks than he might think he is.
Now, Moonweiler has now tied Pat Vellner for the lead, as has Jacob Hepner.
Hepner in the upper middle part. He's doing singles, but he's not putting the bar down. He was resting in the rack position, and I think he just did 9 in a row.
Vellner is on to the burpee pull-ups. The time to beat belongs to Colt Mertens, 7 minutes, 1 second unofficially. And that looks like it's going to stick. So Colt Mertens is going to open up with an event win. Now the fight is for second place, as the second best time is Alexander Caron at 7:53. So Vellner is done. He's going to win the heat, and he'll take second place in the event. He'll lock up 95 points in the process, and now Jacob Hepner looking to be the next man across the finish line.
Wow. Hepner, man, his last 9 thrusters. I know Vellner just won the event, and he's so close to Mertens' time, and again, we have to see how it shakes out with a little bit of the reviews afterwards. But Hepner never put the bar down, but he was resting in that front rack position, which just blows my mind that anybody would attempt to do that. But that's what got him into that second position, because he never dropped the bar in that set of 9 thrusters.
So Vellner with the top time in the heat at 7:11 unofficially. Cole Sager finishes at 7:33. Spencer Panchik is in. Jacob Hepner doing what he does. Sorry, Saxon Panchik. I said Spencer, but Saxon Panchik is the man who was across. And now Noah Olson. And remember, Olson started on a different clock. because he missed the start call, but he is being timed separately. So Olsen is through 78 now of the 90 total repetitions, as Will Morad has finished. Noah Olsen is all by himself.
He's taking a big break before he gets into these last few reps.
And again, he is not on the clock in the upper left-hand part of your screen. He is being timed separately. Olsen on to his final set of burpee pull-ups. And a good pace for him on this last set.
Great pace on these burpee pull-ups. Not a lot of wasted movement. Landing on his feet, dropping right down into that chest to ground position.
And Olsen is done.
So I think I heard his judge say 728.
So if that is true, that is unofficial. If 728 is his time, that could be good for fourth place in the event, as he would just edge out Adrian Moonweiler. But all that needs to be sorted out. But a good time for Noah Olsen. Pat Vellner is the man who wins the heat, unofficially at 7:11. And that will give him second place in the event, as Colt Mertens is going to be your event winner.
I like Vellner has that step-up burpee from the bottom position. But one thing Vellner is, I think he's very underappreciated at, is his ability to chew up thrusters. And as I said, he gets shut out the back of one. But his ability to move the bar on thrusters is one of the best in the sport of CrossFit at the moment. And then being able to push towards the end, again, not knowing where you are versus the rest of the field, being seconds away from Colt Mertens' overall time. Vellner, what a great finish for that first event.
And these are your Heat 2 results, as Pat Vellner comes in ahead of Jacob Hepner. Adrian Moonweiler right now sits in third, but as we heard, Noah Olsen may have had a time of 7:28. Again, that will all get sorted out. Chandler Smith right behind Adrian Moonweiler. All these are unofficial. They will be confirmed. That's going to be a close race to watch. And Cole Sager rounding out the top 5. So Chase, one event is in the books. I know it's early. We still have 5 events to go, but biggest surprise so far that you saw between both the men and the women?
Honestly, the biggest surprise on the men's side, and if you go back and look, I know the results are unofficial, but how tight the times were from first all the way down to maybe like 15th. You're talking athletes separated by mere seconds from place to place to place. And I think that's fascinating when they're all separated, yet they're pushing near to the same exact times. We saw that on the women's side as well. So for me, it's devoid of performance for one individual athlete, but how good these athletes are at being right at the top level. We said this is a deep field. Everyone is near the same playing field in ability and skill. And it shows that you can have 20 different athletes all within 10 to 20 seconds of each other in that top 10 position. So this is going to be a very fun weekend if this is any indication of what's going to happen going forward.
Colt Mertens is your event winner for the men. Tia Toomey, no surprise there, wins event 1 for the women. And she spoke with the third member of our broadcast team, Margot Alvarez.
Awesome job, Tia. You did great on that first event. I noticed that you had a reverse grip on the pull-ups. Was that your plan and strategy going into that event?
I was just playing around with it throughout the week, and normally I will always do an overhand grip.
Okay.
But, I was actually just playing around with it. I was actually racing Matt in like a bit of an ego thing. And I naturally just went like this one day, and I was like, oh, wow, like that actually, it's just a lot less fatiguing, I guess. Once, I was always constantly grabbing over grip. So I just decided to go with it and see if it worked. And I'm really happy with how that went. And another thing also, with the riser last year when we were at the Rogue Invitational in Ohio, I decided not to go with a riser, and I think that was game changer when it came to this time doing the burpee pull-ups. You do have to do a burpee behind the riser, but it's just so much easier jumping, especially if you're that much underneath the bar.
Definitely. So looking at all the events, was this an event that you were looking forward to the most?
Yeah, I think so. You know, honestly, I look over the weekend and I am so excited. I think they've done a fantastic job of the workouts. I think there's variety. I'm so pleased that there's a lifting event. Last year there wasn't. And, you know, I think that this will always be entertaining, not just for the athlete competing and exerting energy, but I also think it will be really entertaining for the actual spectators as well. And, you know, right now we're in a situation where there's no music, no cheering. You're in your own little space. It's literally like you're training. And that's such a different experience. And I think that having such great workouts to look forward to doing is just kind of adding to that experience.
Definitely. I love the variety of the workouts, and I'm looking forward to obviously seeing you.
So Tia Toomey with the event win, and we'll let her get back to her game of Call of Duty. So I'm sure she's doing just fine with that as well. But impressive performance from Tia Toomey and Chase. Look, it's wide open on the men's side, but on the women's side, I mean, you see that performance from Tia Toomey, and you just got to think. I mean, I don't know who's going to knock her off the top spot.
It's not often after the first event of competition where you sit back as maybe another athlete and go, "Whoa, might be in a little trouble here."
And they didn't get to see it firsthand. So event one is done. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with the second event of the Rogue Invitational. You are not going to want to miss this one. It is the last athlete standing power snatch event. So that's coming up next. So stay with us here at the 2020 Rogue Invitational. The 2020 Rogue Invitational is brought to you by NanoX. Ready for any workout everywhere you work out. Shop now at Reebok.com. GoRuck. Founded by a Green Beret, GoRuck is an American brand with Special Forces roots. And Rogue. Don't weaken.